Alrighty. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Today I'm going to be expressing my experience working TwitchCon security back in 2019. Before I get into the nitty gritty of what I witnessed and what I experienced, let me first start off with how I got there. Um, I was serving in the Marine Corps at the time. This is my me folder, right? Um, and to prepare for the Marine Corps ball, each unit in the Marine Corps, they have their own ball. Um, they have to fund it somehow. So some units go in and they could work at a zoo or other communal events. We just so happened to get set up with doing a TwitchCon detail. We had 5 people out of the entire unit, um, had to come together and go to TwitchCon as security detail. And instead of the 5 of us getting paid individually, our unit would receive our paychecks as funding for the Marine Corps ball. So it was it was fun. I had no idea what to expect from it. I was in the Marine Corps for 3 years, so it was what it was. We get there at early in the morning. I remember the very first day we didn't know exactly when we wanted to be there or like a time we needed to be there, so we made sure we were there early, 5 o'clock, fucking sharp. And we woke up at 4, got everybody ready by 4:30, and we were out the door at 4:30, showing up at 5. San Diego. I don't know if we showed up exactly at 5 because it's a pretty quick drive, but about 40 minutes, yeah. And essentially we get there and we notice everybody else is also being bussed in. You would expect these people were individuals, civilians that were hired, but we'll later find out that that's not the case. And as everybody gets there around 6 o'clock, sign in wasn't until 6:30. We found out, but at 6 o'clock they rush everybody in, and it was because we were getting too loud. Like, I mean, there was a big commotion. It almost sounded like a riot wanting to start right outside the entrance. Like, it was extremely concerning. Um, but they funnel us into the second story building. And by the way, the way that they did security, you had your top management, your bottom, your middle management, and then we were your bottom. So the top management was doing whatever. I don't know. Checking in bullshit. Your bottom management, they would be walking around talking with everybody as we're doing this security detail. Um, so we have the middle and top management funneling us through this lobby area to the second floor where we all are sitting in this small room, probably like 60 of us. We're all sitting in this small ass room. It's getting hot. Some people are, what the fuck, man? What's going on? Like, this fucking sucks. This is fucking hot. I can't do this shit. Like, I mean, it was getting wild up in that bitch. And don't get me wrong, that shit was hot. But um, the conversations that you would overhear were fucking jail politics. It was talking about um, different jails that they were in. And me and my Marine buddies were looking at each other like, what the fuck did we get ourselves into? Like, we all like silently agreed we're not telling anybody we're in the Marine Corps because the last thing we need is people seeing that as a challenge. There was already some questionable shit, but that just goes to show you it was us 5 Marines just like, hey, we're gonna keep our mouth shut. I don't want to get involved with any of this shit. And we check in, we get done. Come to find out, they everybody was put into groups of like 3 or 4, except us Marines. We had sections behind the stage. Um, I guess we were like the most trusted, so we were put around all of the stage equipment, so all the expensive gear and all that other shit. Um, it was also pretty cool, I guess. Like, um, we were able to see the VIP section. I know that like Snapchat had their own little thing there, and they were wanting me to walk in and do their thing to where they do like a 3D scan of your body, and you turn into like an emoji that's for, I didn't do it because, you know, I was there for official business, but nonetheless, you know, I remember there was a girl who offered me a water. I said no thank you. And they told me that I need to make sure I'm not talking to the VIP guest. Another time, somebody tried walking into the back and they didn't have a pass, and I pointed it out. I was like, "Hey, sir," and you know, one of the manager ladies, she heard me say that, and she was like, no, don't talk to him." And she like stops me, and then she goes talks to him, and then she comes over to me and she's like, "Hey, you need to make sure that you're only voicing, right? You're here to observe and, you know, not deal with anything." I'm like, okay, right? We're a deterrent. We're not like an active force. Um, and after all of this, I was just, you know, our first day's over. The second day comes around, and there's a guy wanting to walk into the back entrance, into the area, and he doesn't have a pass, and he has these two cameras, one around his neck, one that he's holding, and they look like these, you know, old cameras that you'd find at like a pawn shop, you know, big, bulky, but look like he bought them $25 each. And I mean, he didn't look official. Maybe I'm being judgy. It is what it is. And essentially, like, you know, I was sitting at this bench smoking a cigarette as he's walking in, and then I step in front of the doors, and I'm like, we kind of have a little standoff there. And you know, I'm telling him, "Hey, where are you going?" He's like, "Oh, I'm here for pictures." And I'm like, "Not without a pass, you're not." And he's like, "Oh, I don't need a pass." And he keeps trying walking. And I was like, "Fuck no, you're not." um, and everybody that was kind of sitting there, they all see this happening, and he's like, "No, no, it's fine. I have people waiting." And he tries walking forward. I was like, "Don't fucking threaten me. No, you're not. You're not walking past without a pass. Either go get a pass or go get somebody who's got authority to let you in without a pass." And so he ends up walking away, and the people that were there, they end up walking inside while this commotion is happening. And it wasn't like 5 6 minutes till somebody comes in asking for me again, and they tell me that my services isn't needed, that what I did was a big no-no, and they called my unit, and they have a shuttle bus come over to pick me up and take me back to my unit, due to the fact that I was, uh, I guess I was an issue. They even had security sitting there with me, waiting for my shuttle. So, you know, essentially what happened is I tried doing my job, and they didn't like that. And I would know why, because everybody who was at that bottom level, like I was hired for, um, nutcases. They had criminal backgrounds. And essentially, if you don't believe me on that, we have an amazing form of information. Here we go. Penal Code Section 4024.2, which authorized county sheriffs or jail administrators to establish work relation programs. Under the statute, eligible inmates can be released during the day or for specified periods to perform manual labor. Community service or other approved work such as maintenance, cleanup, or public facility improvements. Right there, public facility improvements. You could easily use some word formula to make security, bottom level security, as improving facilities. And then on top of that, whenever insurance says, "Hey, you're going to have 15,000 people attending," which, by the way, that's an average. So Twitch might actually know they're going to receive 20,000, but the average is going to be 15,000. So that's all they need for insurance right there. And insurance is going to say, "Okay, well, you need 50 people for security." So we're already understaffed with the security on the insurance. And then on top of that, the people that they're hiring are people in these jails. Okay. Penal Code Section 4024.3 further specifies that these credits are equivalent to time served in jail, effectively shortening the sentence on a day-for-day basis. So you're getting a 1-for-1 ratio, right? You can knock 2 days out in one day. And also Penal Code Section 1203, which isn't strictly work release, but achieves a similar goal of sentencing reduction through labor without full incarceration. Alrighty. One thing that I did forget to mention, as I just rewatched this video, was a conversation that I had with a lady at the smoke pit. So she was somebody who did drive herself in. And I noticed that the second day that we showed up, and I asked her, I was like, hey, so what's with, what, like, I've noticed some people are getting bussed in from somewhere. Like, what's going on? And she explained it to me that she used to be on the bus and how she would look at the people in the cars going, I'll one day have that freedom. And so when she is, going to all of these separate events that the security details are set for, like different concerts and whatnot in California, she is lowering her sentence, and then she got free, and then she was on parole, and then she had to do community service. So on top of that, these people are taking advantage of the cheap labor of hiring somebody from the prison. And then on top of that, whenever she needs to do volunteer work, she's going to do that same work, security details, for free, okay, as a volunteer, so they don't have to pay her now. And then, once she's done with that, she has to have employment for a certain amount of time for like probation or whatever it might be. And so they lock her in at a really low rate, and she doesn't go anywhere. She's not going to complain about not getting a raise, like they lock him in on this idea, and there's an ecosystem, and that's kind of what I forgot to add in on that is the ecosystem that has been created behind not just Twitch, um, but as a security for all events. Okay, I think that expands a lot further than just Twitch. I think Twitch is a good example of one of the worst cases because the money really just isn't there. But nonetheless, all of these events are receiving this ecosystem of cheap security coming from jails. So take that with what you want. Take that for what it is. Fuck. Whatever.